Good morning, Hayom Yom, Chof Hei Tammuz. So in Chassidus, there are two concepts and two ideas which are very, very common. They're said all the time, and they're very characteristic of Chassidus. In other words, they fit very much into the Chassidic philosophy, and you'll see the themes all over the place in Chassidus. And idea number one is that every single Jew, since we have a neshama, so we're naturally in tune with higher realities. And because of that, we naturally and innately and instinctively see and relate to holiness and elikos. And therefore we'll recognize and see elikos and holiness wherever it is, wherever we see it. And we're super sensitive and alert to anything otherworldly, to anything unnatural, to anything spiritual. And just take, for example, if you know something exists, you've seen something before, or you're expecting it to see it in this environment, then you just have to catch the slightest sight of it. You could see it around the corner and you right away notice it and recognize it. If somebody never ever saw something before, or they're not expecting it in a million years to be in this environment, then they would not expect to see it, and therefore they wouldn't see it unless it was like in their face. And in their mind, it so doesn't make sense for this to be here, that it would need to be in their face for them to realize that it's here. As opposed to if you already know it's here, you're already expecting it, if you've already seen it, then you just need to catch a little sight and you already know it's here. So in the same way, Jews which naturally know and intuitively know and instinctively know about higher realities, we recognize higher realities whenever they present themselves. As opposed to other people, they need it in their face. They need like it to be proven to them and no two ways about it and in their face for them to see it. As opposed to a Jew knows all these things instinctively and intuitively, and therefore doesn't need it to be in their face. He doesn't need it to be proven to him, or he doesn't need to see it clearly, to have it pointed out clearly to him. He just, the moment he picks up something that is otherworldly or unnatural or godly or spiritual, he right away is aware of it. And that is idea number one in Chassidus. And idea number two in Chassidus is from the Alter Rebbe. And the Alter Rebbe said very powerful Yiddish words. He said, a Yid niter will and niter ken sein afgerissen von elikos, which means a Jew doesn't want to become disconnected from Hashem. It's the last thing he wants. And he physically can't become disconnected and sever his connection with Hashem. And it's those two terms, it would be the equivalent to me saying, I don't want to drown myself in the swimming pool, and I physically can't because if I tried, I would have like this gut instinctive reaction and my body would force me up. So a Jew, he doesn't want to become disconnected from Hashem, he doesn't want to sever his connection with Hashem, he doesn't want to sever his relationship with Hashem, and he physically can't even if he wants to. And the Rebbe once pointed out that it's interesting that we say both these things, because once we say a Jew physically can't break his relationship with Hashem, then who cares if he wants to or not? Even if he wants to, he can't. But like, who cares? And essentially what the Rebbe explained is it's true that it's impossible for a Jew to sever his connection. But a Jew could, if he chooses to, he could at least temporarily or externally or superficially sever his connection with Hashem. And we don't want a Jew to become separated even for a moment, even for a second, and a Jew doesn't either want that to happen. And that's where a Jew not wanting to sever his connection with Hashem comes from. And those are the words of the Alter Rebbe. Now, the interesting thing, right, is that you look around, there's many Jews that sin all the time. All of us Jews sin all the time. And there's many Jews that seem to have totally abandoned Hashem and severed their connection and relationship with Hashem. So the Alter Rebbe explains, so how can we say that a Jew doesn't want to separate himself from Hashem? If you sin all the time, how can you say that? Every time you sin, you are choosing to disconnect yourself and sever yourself from Hashem. So the Alter Rebbe explains something very interesting. He says, think of a relationship that you value in your life, a relationship with a certain person. So you value that relationship. You would do anything to maintain that relationship. You don't want that relationship to end or that connection to end. But for whatever reason, all the time, we're not always going to act perfectly and do the right thing to those people in our lives where we value their presence or we value their relationships. We'll say not nice things, we'll do not nice things, right? We'll think not nice things. But the reason we do that is because we don't feel like just saying this one thing or doing this one thing is going to jeopardize the relationship. The person is still going to be here tomorrow. If though we knew for a fact that we do this, the person's walking away forever, we would never do it because we value this relationship to the end of the earth and we would do anything to save the relationship and to maintain it. A human doesn't always realize that maintenance, a person thinks that you could do one thing and it's not a big deal. It doesn't jeopardize the relationship. And he said in the exact same way, a Jew feels, every Jew, no matter who you are, no matter how secular you are, no Jew in the world would ever jeopardize a relationship with Hashem, would ever snip the relationship and snip the connection. A Jew thinks, it's not so bad if I do this one thing, or I say this one thing, or I think this one thing. Because that, maybe Hashem gets a little angry, but that's not going to jeopardize the relationship. That's not going to make Hashem walk out. If a Jew realizes, says the Alter Rebbe though, the actual damage of an Avera, if a Jew realizes that he's literally destroying this relationship, no Jew would ever do an Avera. It comes from this false notion in our heads that it's not such a big deal to do one Avera. It's not going to jeopardize the relationship. It's not going to sever the relationship. And that's why Jews do Avera, even though we never want to do anything that would actually sever the relationship. It comes from this false notion that you could do an Avera and it doesn't have any effect. But if a Jew realized the effect of an Avera, a Jew would never do an Avera because every single Jew doesn't want to do anything that would ruin the relationship with Hashem. Now, for the second half, that a Jew physically can't become separated from Hashem. So again, seemingly you see many Jews that have totally abandoned Hashem. So yes, on the surface, a Jew can become un-Jewish, or a Jew can act non-Jewish and look like he's severed his connection with Hashem. But the amazing thing about the Jewish connection is that nothing you do can make you un-Jewish. Nothing you do can disconnect your neshama from Hashem. You can convert to every religion in the world. You could do every sin in the book for 70, 80, 90 years. You could say whatever you want, think whatever you want. You can never escape from who you are. You can never become un-Jewish. And the Rebbe once put this in very beautiful words. He said, a Jew can never become un-Jewish. At best, a Jew could put on the costume and disguise of a guy, of a non-Jew. But he said, first of all, you should know that to all the other non-Jews, you're never going to fool them. They'll look at you and they'll see right through it. They'll see that you're Jewish to your core and you can never run away from it. And he says, you're not going to be able to fool all your other fellow Jews. All your other fellow Jews are going to look at you right away and like, what are you doing? Why are you it's like playing dress up, dressing like a guy in thought, speech, and action. They're going to realize right away that you're Jewish and see that you're Jewish. And he says, even yourself, you could fool yourself for a day, for a week, for a month, but eventually you yourself are going to realize how ridiculous you look and how ridiculous you are, and that you are Jewish, and what are you doing? Why are you trying to escape that? That's who you are. A Jew, niter vil, niter ken, is an app'gärisän from Laikos. And that's what the Alter Rebbe said. And that's the second statement in Chassidus. And the Rebbe says that really these two ideas and these two statements go hand in hand. They're one and the same, or they're interconnected or interrelated, because it's because a Jew is aware of higher realities, because a Jew knows there's so much more to life and there's so much more to this world than just the physical, materialistic world. He knows there's holiness and likus and there's just higher truths. So he says because of that, a Jew will never ever feel satisfied and comfortable just engaging in the physical world. If he spends his whole life just engaging with and pursuing the physical world, he'll never feel comfortable, he'll never sit right with him. He'll never feel good and comfortable escaping likus, because he's too aware of likus. So likus is naturally in his face. Have a wonderful, wonderful day.